Hi, welcome to News and Views this Friday morning. I'm Suzanne Dowdy.
And I'm Sandy Benguche.
And we haven't been together for a while.
For a little while because you've been...
Yes.
You've been out
well,
for
everybody
a while.
knows where I was because on Trinity Update this week we talked about our pilgrimage to the Holy Land, walking in the footsteps of Jesus.
And I'm the permanent temporary.
And we are so happy that you are. Oh gosh, we thank God for Sandy. You can always, jump in whenever she can because she does work.
Yes, contrary
she's not
to
a
popular
housewife.
belief, as I always tell my children.
Yes, she does work. She has a job. So we thank her for that. And those of you who saw Trinity Update this week would have heard about our wonderful pilgrimage to the Holy Land. And, anyone who can do that, save up your pennies. Until one day that you can make that journey.
Yes, I'm hoping to do it one year myself.
Yeah.
I haven't done that.
Yes.
That's the top of my bucket list.
Yes, for any Christian, for any for any Catholic, it's the thing you have to do if you can. All right, so here we are now looking at our Catholic news for this Sunday, the 29th of April. And the big story on the front page, which is, of course, we know the big story in Trinidad now. And this is Father Martin Sergio responding to a request on the church's response to the refugee issue here in Trinidad. So we're going to read, I think most of it we can read because I think every paragraph really is very essential. There has been a change in attitude towards Venezuelans in Trinidad and Tobago. As their numbers increase with the economic crisis worsening in their homeland, xenophobia has reared its ugly head. And that xenophobia, of course, means dislike for people from other countries coming into your country. In her 15 years in Trinidad, Venezuelan-born Andreina Briceno, hope I pronounced it right, has never felt uneasy until now. Recently, she experienced hostility with someone telling her, "Leave my country." She said citizens were now being rough with Venezuelans. And so this person they've interviewed is obviously somebody who is here legally. She's been living here for 15 years and happily. And now, I said, what is happening, I suppose, is that we're just, everybody gets into the same barrel, whether you're here legitimately or not, you're Venezuelan, or even somebody with a Spanish accent, I guess, As a member of the Santa Rosa Parish, she knows there are many loving people. Her wish is for nationals to realize they need to guard and help them. These are her words now. I know a lot of Trinidadians help. It's tough now. Many don't like Venezuelans anymore. We have to be careful where we are going, how we are talking, how we mingle. Trinidad and Tobago's repatriation of 82 Venezuelans, including registered asylum seekers on April the 21st, evoked a response from the UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency, and Amnesty International. In a media release last Monday, UNHCR's Assistant High Commissioner for Protection, Volker Turk, stated, "The forced return of this group is of great concern." In the Senate last Tuesday, National Security Minister Edmund Dillon reported that 3 persons with asylum certificates had abandoned their asylum claims. He maintained all the Venezuelans voluntarily returned home. In the article, now Father Martin Sergio is responding as church, underscoring that mercy must move from words to deeds, he commented. We cannot sing God of mercy and compassion, we all know that hymn that we sing at church, unless we are ready to be merciful and compassionate to others when the time comes. Common sense also had to be exercised, Father Martin said, through proper screening of refugees, because the current situation can be an opportunity for unsavory elements, guns, drugs, human trafficking, to enter the country. Father Martin noted the refugee crisis was happening when the TNT economy is weak and citizens were understandably touchy and nervous. Father Sergio asked how many will be too many. And while most may be from Venezuela, others are coming from other parts of the globe. Most of these refugees want money to send back home so people can buy food. Pointing to scripture which should inform the Catholic response, Father Martin stated, the Old Testament speaks of being kind to the alien, because the Israelites were once aliens in a foreign land. Jesus speaks of kindness to the strangers. The prophet Isaiah tells us to widen the space of your tent. He added that Jesus comes to us under the form of bread and wine, reminds us of the importance of food at every Eucharist. Father Martin did not think the country was overcrowded with refugees, so the response can err on the side of caution. The Vicar General concluded, biblically, it is a better thing to do. It is who we have been historically as church. We are morally obliged to help as church. It goes on. I won't read the entire article, but the Venezuelan lady that they interviewed is reminding us that there are individuals here who were professionals in their own homeland. They're doing cleaning, etc. She mentioned a couple who, after paying rent and buying food, can send just $200 back home for their 4 children to have food and continue their education. The husband earns $300 weekly and the wife works 5 days at $75 a day. She said although they are legally in this country, they are fearful of deportation, being taken advantage of and being roughed up, so they only go to work. The husband is even afraid to attend Mass. So this is a situation that we know is going on now in the country, and Father Martin Sergiu, as the Vicar General of the Catholic Church, he has responded for us as Catholics. And the word there, 2 words, have mercy.
Have mercy.
And as Catholics, that's what we have to do, is to have mercy.
Yes, I think we have to just have mercy.
Yeah.
And I think, simply respond as humanitarians, as Christians, that there are people there who are hungry and in need of shelter. And what you can do for them, you just do for them.
As best as you can.
Let the rest of the world do what it has to do. But as an individual, if you see someone that's hungry or in need of something, as a Christian, it is your moral obligation to do something.
Do whatever you can.
To do whatever you can to help that person. And I think, that's basically my posture on the whole situation. My opinion on the whole situation is just, if the politicians will do their jobs and the UN people will do their jobs and the UNHRC and all the other people.
And that's what we have to pray for.
And we pray for all of them.
Because these are the professionals. These are the people who are directly involved in it.
And they know probably stuff that we don't know. But as an individual, as a Catholic, as a person, I think our role is that you see someone that's hungry and in need, and you just provide for that person. And it's what you can do within your sphere of control. You just do what you can do at the time. And and be merciful. Be merciful to all.
Yeah. And to recognize that this is not something that is happening only here in Trinidad and Tobago. The refugee and asylum seeker, what's happening with this group all over the world now is everywhere, in mostly every country, where they're receiving asylum seekers and refugees all the time in huge numbers. So now we here in Trinidad, of course, are getting a taste of it. But of course, there are ways to handle it, and we hope that the powers that be will, take that down the right road.
That the public will, will just
be sympathetic,
be merciful,
and
be
patient.
merciful and
it's
patient.
going to take patience.
Yes, it is going to take patience, and we focused here on the Venezuelans, but there are many, many other nations that are here as well, seeking refugee status, and we need to just be patient and be merciful, and let their powers that be do what they have to do, but just pray for them that they will understand,
for the wisdom,
for the wisdom to do it, and we just do what we have to do,
to help. Yes.
Yeah.
And we applauded ourselves as a nation, as Trinbagonians. I always get that word wrong. Trinbagonians, yes. Why do I always get that word wrong? But we applauded ourselves recently for the way that we helped Dominica and the other islands that were hit by Hurricane Maria. Because, the society, the business community was so generous in their giving. The hundreds of cases of food and water and Pampers that we sent to these islands. I think what's happening now is that there was sort of, for want of a better word, easy to send the stuff there to people who are in need.
Yes.
But when the people are coming here,
yes.
of course, then you understand that people would be afraid when you see people coming in these large numbers.
Yeah.
What we're experiencing is what other nations have experienced for the last few years.
Yeah. And
so we leave that there, and we go on.
And we continue to pray that,
yes,
as our headline says, that we will have mercy on those.
And that the situation will be soon resolved, and something put in place to help these people. And maybe the photograph on the front page of the Catholic News is where we need to go to Our Lady, Mother of God. And this image that we see is from the celebration of La Divina Pastora, which occurs yearly in Cyprian. It captures the spirit of the day. There's both devotion and joy in the face of this congregant as she raises her oil to be blessed. And we can go on to pages 12 and 13 just to continue that story. And I think everybody knows about La Divina Pastora, the Divine Shepherdess. And we see pictures here of the celebrations, so you can get a taste of what went on. The chief celebrant was Monsignor Julian Cabore, left, and Father Elan Hall, who is the parish priest. And you can see from the photographs the numbers of people who turn out to this celebration. Isn't that amazing?
It is amazing.
Every year.
Yeah, and I do a devotion every year to La Divina Pastora myself. And it's interesting because my father, when he was very, very young, as a baby, he almost died, and his mother took him to La Divina's shrine, and she prayed and she promised La Divina that if he's healed, she would bring him back every year to the shrine. And
obviously he was healed because you were here.
And he's still here as well.
Oh.
He is also still here. And so we actually, even after she passed, my father continued the tradition. So even as a young child, I remember going there once a year, and up to like last month, the entire family, now he doesn't drive, but we take him. So up to last month, the entire family actually went to the shrine. Yes, and it's amazing because even my daughter now, because she knows, and she would go with us sometimes, she also now has a devotion to La Divina Pastora. And at her home, wherever she is, whatever part of the world she is, she has a little statue of a La Divina that she takes with her. I have never seen one before or after. I don't know where this child got it, but she has one. And so,
that's lovely.
And I think that's what's beautiful about our faith as well, the traditions, the history, the mystery of it.
I like that.
The
history and the mystery
of the whole devotion
of
the Catholic faith, because it's like way down there in Superior, and the amount of different groups of people that go, because it attracts the Hindus, it attracts the historians, it attracts
Our Lady, the Mother of all nations.
Yes, and it's really interesting.
So we have a story and pictures there, and I see on the bottom of page 13, I have to make note of that, Our Living Water Community Family Fun Fiesta. And that, of course, is this Sunday, the 29th of April, at the Princess Elizabeth grounds on Arapita Avenue. And so this is the last time that we have to advertise it, so please come out and support us on that day. Lots of food and fun for the children and stores. Those of you who have been before, you know what it's like, so we encourage you to come. And we can't mention ours without mentioning the advertisement next day, because
yes, that would be a little biased.
Yes, Father Menuga and the Grand Couva Tabakit RC Parish, they're also having their annual harvest on the same day, Sunday the 29th of April at 10 a.m. And so it's at St. Anthony's RC Churchyard in Tabakit. So we don't mind sharing the day and the time. Those of you who live in that area of Trinidad.
And it's a beautiful scenic area as well.
I've been a couple of times. So, all right. So Sunday is a busy day for us as Catholics, supporting all these various fairs and family days.
Well, the editorial talks about, it's becoming now like something that we can't just talk about it enough. The dark side of social media. And it talks about the recent testimony of Mark Zuckerberg, who is the CEO of Facebook, to committees of the United States Congress in respect of the unauthorized use of customer data brought to the fore several related issues around the use of social media. So, you know, a lot of exposés were done.
That's it. Another frightening thing that's happening in the world.
Uploading their information and it being taken and used. The immediate issue addressed by the U.S. Congress was the use of the data to design ads and initiate events which arguably influenced the outcome of the U.S. presidential elections, which brought Donald Trump to the White House.
I mean, you know, to use the art of using social media in that way is mind-blowing.
Yeah, and you know, it's important that we understand the enormity of this. You know, the enormity of this and how it can be used to manipulate decisions.
And how do you stop this happening again?
Yeah, and how do you stop it? You just, I mean, you just Google something someday. You go on Google, and then you go on Facebook, and you see an ad for it comes up. You know, of what you Googled on the side there. So it means that, you know, your data.
It's like a computer reading your mind. It knows everything about you.
It's really amazing.
And I think for, you know, the older generation, I think that is what is part of the frightening thing for them. That, you know, that social media, the computers, the internet seem to almost have a life of their own. You know, and that they can take control. You know, there's that feeling.
But, you know, now taking control is a term that is used very frequently now because it is taking control of our children. It is in many, many ways taking control, and it's a conversation that's had so often now. I was doing some work with some parents of this tween to teen group, you know, and some of the parents were asking me, you know, suddenly I don't know who's this little monster in my house, because whereas a child would have a conversation, laugh, be happy around the place, they're locked into their screens now, and they literally bark at you, and their aggression, and they, you know, they're very agitated when they have conversations. So take control, I think, is a very apt word to use for what's happening to our children. These issues are immediately relevant to us here in Trinidad and Tobago and the wider Caribbean. We now know that unauthorized data acquisition took place here in Trinidad by companies related to those which interfered with the U.S. Well, we won't talk about that.
But imagine that, you know, right here in Little Trinidad, that we were part of that. You know, that too is frightening. And that's it. The internet brings it's no longer an island here and a country here. We're all sort of one because of the internet and the network that it creates.
And the network. And, you know, and also it's very difficult to create an island culture with our children right now because, you know, they're just so exposed to so much. And in many ways, we think, okay, it's grand, we are global citizens, and we use all these fancy terms to describe it now. But basically, a child is not able to develop their own culture, to work with their own environment, their own reality, because they're always on some social media, you know, it's on some platform where they are interacting with. So who is really controlling this child? And who is really, and which culture will really determine who this child becomes? And it's really a scary thing.
It is.
And what is really interesting is that a lot of these people, like for example, persons who work with Google and who work with these bigger groups, they do not spend time on the social media. They don't. And they were saying that in order to create and in order to become creative, they have to come out, because they have to come off, because your mind can't create when it's always been fed information all the time. So they actually come off in order to be able to create. And what we're finding is that you can't create. I mean, you even see it in the system, you know, they're just repeating information, but to take information and to really manipulate it and understand and use it to come to conclusions and to work through conversations.
Can they do that?
The art is being lost now because we're just like taking in stuff all the time, and then we're just regurgitating, or as I say, they're just vomiting it back at you, you know, and so. And there's no, well, you know, your opinion, and I read this by this expert, and so therefore, you know, from all of that that I have now, my opinion is, there's none of that happening. And you see it even at
because they can't think it through.
They can't think it through. You see it even at university level. You tell them, shut down the PowerPoint and talk to me. and they can't say it. There's no conversation. You know, there's nothing because, and I think the far-reaching consequences of it, they're not reading anymore. You know, and even to read a paragraph, you know, you're reading a paragraph, you're reading a book, and 3 paragraphs down, they check their phone, they hear a beep, something. And not there, I keep saying they, us. Us. Because to me, it spans the whole group. It spans, adults are doing it as well. You know, adults are there, up in there, you know, so up in Facebook and whatever, and so all these social medias.
And I've heard, and I'm sure you have too, of families where they joke about it, where everybody's in a different room and the wife is texting or WhatsApping the husband, honey, you ready for dinner yet? I mean, that's true. I mean, I'm not making that up. And to the son, you finished your homework yet, we need to go here. And so I mean, that is happening, and that's happening here even in our own country.
And I think what we lack is the warm body experience. The warm body experience, the touch, the expressions, the simple conversations that we used to have, and it's becoming. If you create an awareness in yourself, and you look at talk to people, and so you could actually see it. It takes precedent over whatever, and they just have to be.
You see. Hotel lounges, wherever you see everybody on their iPhones, etc.
And even if they're walking, they're stuck into their ears, and they're walking, and you're missing so much.
You can't stop to smell the flowers. And actually, I saw part of an interview recently with Oprah, and she was being interviewed actually. And one of the things she was saying, you know who it was? It was Van Jones, who has become very sort of popular on CNN. That she was saying to him that, because of your business, you wake up in the morning and the first thing you do is grab the phone to see what messages have come in during the night, what WhatsApp messages. And she said, with me, I wake up and the first thing I do is give my creator thanks for and it was wonderful to hear her say that, bringing out her spirituality. She talks to her maker, she centers herself, etc. And then long after that, she picks up her phone and then she checks to see what messages. But she has it right. And so much is, we have so much to think about, so much to think about with the editor there asked the question, so what can we do? And, giving some ideas there, government needs to promulgate regulations which, for example, prescribe the minimum age at which children can access social media platforms and automatically enforce the highest level of privacy protection for children, including switching off geolocation services, which can be serious too. We need to acquaint ourselves with the techniques used by scammers to get us to part with our information and to resist those efforts. Great care should be exercised with sharing certain quizzes, games, and even prayer chains, which invite us to pass on certain prayers or blessings to our friends so that we will be blessed.
And there is where a lot of our friends are.
That's it.
They're just forwarding
everything, forward
everything. And sometimes, because your circle of friends might be the same, you're getting the same thing from like about 6 friends in the morning. And I don't think some of them understand that sometimes these things it could be passing on information.
That's right.
They use these things to pass on information. So sometimes, by opening these things is where when you get a forward like that and you open it,
your information is released.
Your information is being shared as well, and the scammers, they understand that because they know your web, they know your profiling. Oh, she loves to get a lot of holy things. So you
keep getting those advertisements popping up.
I think we need to be a little bit aware of that.
Well, the last paragraph there in the editorial, social media is here to stay and arguably can be of considerable benefit to society by facilitating communication and providing information quickly. But it has a dark side of which we need to be aware and to guard against.
And it's so true, position, like for example, Waze. Oh my gosh, Waze is a blessing, especially for a driver like me.
Yes. If you're driving from the east to Port of Spain or to south all the time, you need it.
And simply as well on WhatsApp, geolocation where you can actually tell somebody where you are so they could find you. And so all those things there are benefits. But I think sometimes because there are so many benefits as well, it controls us. And it is addictive, and it does, from constantly being on the screen all the time, it does create a kind of agitation in you. I've seen it in myself as well. And
so far less the young people, what would they be experiencing?
Even sometimes when I'm in the office and I'm doing work, and sometimes I'm doing work, but I'm on the screen all the time, and you might be Googling and looking for stuff, or you're putting information together, and you actually feel the agitation in your body. You just have to get up and go outside for a bit and just exhale a little bit. And I think,
well, I have, as you mentioned, ways there. I have a couple of friends who, if I'm heading east or south or whatever, and I sense that there may be some traffic buildup, I call them and I say, could you check on Waze for me and tell me which way to go, what road to use, and then I let them call me back and say, look, there's traffic here, turn right, turn left.
Yes, I know.
I do that.
On a Friday morning to get here, I do that. Because you leave and you can never tell which route is going to be clogged. So it does have a lot of advantages. Interesting for us, I think, to remember though, is that a lot of people who create these things, they do not spend. They make an effort not to spend their time all day on it, because they recognize the damage.
They've gifted us with that, and they know about their business.
That it can do.
All right, well, I think we need to go to our first video clip this morning, and this is the Antilles bishops who have been in Rome for the last week or so, and we'll look at this and then we will talk some more about this visit of the AEC bishops to Rome.
Bishops from the Antilles Episcopal Conference in the Caribbean and Central America all joined in Rome for 2 weeks to present their pastoral plan to Pope Francis during their ad limina visit. The Vice President and President of the Bishops' Conference spoke about mission, new evangelization, vocations, and their particular vulnerability.
Our challenge is we have very small island states that are vulnerable. So last year we had hurricanes that hit our islands. We had 2 Category 5 hurricanes coming one after the other, hitting several of our islands and causing incredible damage. And the vulnerability of our region is serious.
The question of building a people to help them be conscious of the bigger picture, which is, our relationship with the climate is something that we have to take seriously. And Dominica is always acclaimed as the nature island of the Caribbean. It's a very green island normally, but with the hurricane it has souped up the entire forest, and the forest is actually struggling to grow back.
Despite these setbacks, both are excited for the youth and are preparing for the Antilles Episcopal Conference Youth Assembly in July, which happens every 3 years.
Usually it is a tremendous experience, and the young people, they really look forward to it. And I'm sure it would be a tremendous incentive for us to join with the Panama Conference, and we will be looking forward to that.
We're going to be doing Amoris Laetitia for the young people, and that'll get exciting. And then we also have the same group working on Panama with another group of youths. Yes, fundraisings have started. Formation has started, the meetings together, the plans are well underway, they're working together to find the way to Panama.
After meeting with the Holy Father, encouragement for rebuilding after the hurricane, and excitement about the upcoming youth conference, these bishops and the entire conference can return home, inspired from their time in Rome.
You know what's interesting about that? Yeah, but you know what's very interesting about that? That Dominica went from an island that was so rich in ecotourism and so to refugee seekers overnight. Overnight.
Literally overnight.
Literally overnight. The people of Dominica, who was so their ecotourism was booming, their country, the nature island of the Caribbean, and overnight they became refugees. I think it's certainly something for us to think about.
Yes.
Certainly something for us.
It doesn't have to be a slow process. It could happen overnight.
Yes, and there goeth I, but for the grace of God.
Yes, couldn't agree with that more. But for those of you who are wondering what all the bishops of the Caribbean region are doing in Rome, on the back page of the Catholic News is an explanation in that weekly article, Conversations with Archbishop J. And so the question is, no, what they have described it as, what they have gone is for their ad limina visit. So they've asked the Archbishop, what is this? And of course, we could go on further to explain that this is an obligatory regular visit that the bishops have to make. I think it's every 5 years.
Yes.
And each bishop's conference for whatever region in the world have to go and meet with the Holy Father. So this is the way that Archbishop Jason explains it. Every Sunday at Mass, we say in the Creed, I believe in the one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church. These 4 characteristics must be present for the Church to be the true Church of Jesus Christ. The 4th mark, apostolic, indicates that our Church is built on the foundation of the apostles, with Christ Jesus as the chief cornerstone. We literally go back to the apostles. You know, that is so amazing. You know, we think of, okay, this is our church, this is our Pope and our Archbishop, but we go back, right back to Jesus Christ. Amazing. So, he says, if you go to www.catholichierarchy.org and look for any bishop, you will see everything about his tenure as bishop. You will also see who ordained him as bishop and his episcopal lineage. So he says his lineage, through Archbishops Harris and Gilbert, goes back through the patriarchs of Antioch of the Maronite Rite. Like every Catholic bishop, my lineage can be traced back to the apostle who handed on this ministry through many generations to me. Archbishop Jason says, I am a successor of the apostles, one of the titles of the Roman Catholic bishop. I mean, you know, that is the Catholic Church is just so rich, and you know, what a profound statement. Meanwhile, we have passed the halfway mark, and of course the telephone lines are open now. If anyone would like to pick up the phone, give us a call, join in the conversation. We'll go on talking about this, but your opportunity now to join in the conversation.
We'd certainly love to hear from our audience out there.
You want to continue there from the Catholic Church?
Yes. The Catholic Church is at once local and at the same time universal. We belong to the Church of Port of Spain, and a church existing throughout the world. Catholic means universal. We are not a provincial church responding to the specifics of one locality. We are a universal church manifested in each local reality, which is so beautiful. This paradox is at the heart of the visit ad limina. Well, I can't pronounce it as well as you.
You see, look, you have a word you can't pronounce.
It is a visit to Peter, and through Peter to its very universality. And you know, and it's so profound because you go to church anywhere in the world, and the mass is the same, and yet the culture is present.
Yes.
And you can recognize the culture. And what is profound as well is, you know, we just finished talking about La Divina Pastora, but even within the country, you go to church, and yet you go to La Divina, and it has its own little culture. The people who attend the mass. And the group of individuals that you would find at the different places, it's
but that is always something that has struck me, you know,
and
that
it manifested in each local reality, you know, even within a
so whether you are in Trinidad or in California or in Africa, on this Sunday, the same readings will be read at every Mass. That is mind-blowing. And what is so beautiful is that each priest, each bishop, then has the opportunity to break that word in his own way. So to all these hundreds or thousands of churches, the same scripture would be read, but would be broken in a different way. Amazing.
Speaking of the ad limina visit, the directory for bishops says, canonical discipline requires the diocesan bishop to observe the ancient tradition of the ad limina visit every 5 years by venerating the tombs of the holy apostles Peter and Paul, and by meeting the successor of Peter, the Bishop of Rome. And I think we had some beautiful shots of our bishops
I know,
meeting.
to see in that video clip there, to see, you know, so many familiar faces of the bishops we know. And Archbishop Jason says that on the first day of their visit, we celebrated Mass at the tomb of St. Peter, where Bishop Gabriel Malzer, who is president of the Bishops' Conference, presided. It was very moving to have all the bishops of our region gather at the tomb of Peter in the crypt under St. Peter's Basilica to profess the faith of the Church and celebrate the same liturgy the apostle would have presided over in Rome. I mean, just reading that, I get goosepimples, you know, to think of all the bishops gathered there And, oh gosh, we, the living bishops of the English, French, and Dutch Caribbean, had come to Peter. We prayed and asked his intercession for us, and that we would be fitting successors to the first apostles. You know, so I can imagine the renewal that goes on in the mind and hearts of each bishop. They cannot come back the same, you know.
Yeah. And then he says, then after breakfast, we went to Peter. Peter, of course, in inverted, which is our present Pope. We gathered at the Apostolic Palace of the Holy Father and met with him for 2 hours. The Pope holds the Petrine ministry, a unique ministry given to Peter and handed down from one generation to the next to Pope Francis. The Holy Father welcomed us as brothers and sat with us as we spoke with openness and candor, respect and admiration. We brought to him the concerns of the church in the Caribbean, and I think we just saw some of that in our clip up there. He gave us a perspective that was universal. Through an exchange of brothers, we were confirmed in our role as successors of the apostles. Cum Petrus et su Petrus, with Peter and under Peter. The style of the encounter was that of a genuine conversation where we felt listened to. When Pope Francis responded, it was from the heart.
I can imagine.
From his experience and the depth of tradition. His humility and openness were remarkable. He made eye contact and spoke to you directly and was available to the encounter. And how, you know, observant of our Archbishop as well. Because, you know, very often when you meet persons, you get a sense that they're not really talking to you. They're just kind of, you know, well,
this is something that I have to do.
Yeah, we just have to do this, and let's just get on with it and then get on with our lives and so on. You don't really feel a sense of being listened to.
But obviously
so,
that's the way that they felt.
He picked up all the little...
and of course his humility and openness, which we know trademarks of Pope Francis. Encountering Paul, he says that on the Tuesday they gathered at the tomb of St. Paul and prayed at the tomb of this second great apostle. Cardinal Kelvin Felix led us in this Mass. He reflected on those who had gone before us and their missionary zeal for the Caribbean Church. To pray at the tombs of the apostles is an incredible reminder of the responsibility we hold as bishops. We are the apostles for the Caribbean Church. We were given the same spirit and the same responsibility they were given. Their mandate is our mandate. He says this is a terrifying and electrifying thought. For the first time in my over 6 years of being a bishop, the full immensity of the responsibility struck me. As a successor of the apostles, there is a responsibility for the church that I share in common with them. There is also a grace that I share with them. This is humbling. You want to end with that, Lars?
Yeah, and well, the encounter in the church, our meeting with the many departments in Rome confirmed this experience. They see the whole world and so have a very different perspectives. These meetings, like our first with the Holy Father, started with a time of listening and then fruitful dialogue. We gained in perspective and in connection to the universality of the Church and her mission. Another dimension of the visit was the fraternal spirit of the bishops, and I think this was very obvious when we saw the pictures. We do not get to be together very often, but when we do, it is always a wonderful occasion. Many of us have known each other for many years as friends before we became bishops. Gathering in Rome, sharing the common experience of our encounters, and sharing together around the table of the Lord and meals were very special.
Thank God for that.
Thank God, it was a beautiful...
Well, he's left us, as usual, with the key message from this conversation with Archbishop J. Key message: we belong to a church universal that manifests itself in our local archdiocese. This is a grace and an incredible inheritance. Action step for us: read the Catechism of the Catholic Church, 811 FF. The scripture, Matthew 16, verses 13 to 20. Email your questions for the Archbishop's column to editorial, and they give you the address there, the email address. And of course, be viewing Shepherd's Corner on Trinity TV Thursdays at 8 p.m. Of course, the Archbishop was not here last night, but I'm sure from next Thursday
he'll be
back again. So we're going to take another break, the Pope's general audience, and when we come back, if you'd like to pick up your phone, give us a call. We would love to hear from you.
This was probably the most crowded audience of the year, Despite the uncertain weather, St. Peter's Square was overflowing with joy. In addition to greeting families and children, Pope Francis got out of the Pope-mobile to hear this sensational orchestra. During the audience, the Holy Father returned to the topic of baptism. He explained the rite's gestures and words to understand the sacrament that awakens the vocation to live as Christians in each person. One of the fundamental parts is the request for the name of he or she who is to be baptized.
El nombre indica la identidad de una persona. Dios nos llama por nuestro nombre, nos ama personalmente, pero no termina ahí. A lo largo de los años, Dios sigue llamándonos por nuestro nombre, para que cada día nos parezcamos más a su Hijo Jesús.
The sign of the cross is made for the first time over the infant or adult who will be baptized. The Pope said the gesture identifies the person as a Christian and cannot be done automatically.
Tante volte io ho visto bambini che per farsi il segno della croce fanno così. Insegnare ai bambini a farsi bene il segno della croce. Da bambini. E se lo imparano da bambini, lo faranno bene dopo, da grandi.
Upon finishing the encounter, he sent a message in support of the upcoming spring meeting of the World Bank that is due to take place in Washington. The Holy Father expressed his hope that the encounters will promote the economy of the most disadvantaged and promote their integral development.
You heard that, those of you with small children and grandchildren, you know, Holy Father is saying teach them to make the sign of the cross properly.
And I think
slowly.
he got a little thing correct, because that's exactly what they do.
We see so many children doing that,
Yes,
so many children.
Yes.
I know one of the things that some families do with small children too, is that the children, when you're leaving their presence, they want to make the sign of the cross on your forehead. You know,
not
the child.
Little children, adults, but as old as my children are, you know, it's you do it all the time.
So it's a good practice, you know, to let them know that, you know, under the sign of the cross we have that protection, that it means something. So that's something for you to do. If you don't have small children and you have grandchildren, that you want to start teaching them to do it very slowly. You know, and not as the Pope said.
Which is exactly what they do.
Yes.
It's exactly what they do.
Well, I just, on page 3 here, we have a continuation of the AC bishops, and just to highlight some of what they said here. Go ahead.
He highlighted they highlighted some key areas for attention to accomplish the AC's vision in the Triennium next 3 years. And you know, the first one, these included biblical animation of pastoral life and in the diocese, an integrated pastoral plan for communications, the pastoral letter and communications, new ways of being church in the digital milieu, stewardship as a way of life in dioceses and parishes, and working towards a common strategy. And you know, I just wanted to talk a little bit about when we talk about the biblical animation of all pastoral life. And one of the things they recommend is like Lectio Divina. And we started a group on Lectio Divina where we are actually, well, I think we have a caller. So
we have our first call. We have to stop right there. Hello and welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You hearing me?
Yes, a little better, but I'll ask the audio person to turn you up a little bit.
All right.
But you go ahead and talk.
Yeah, what I call to say is we need so much prayers for the people in Trinidad and Tobago. When you realize that these people from Venezuela they are trying to get a bread, and I'm not saying that the law is wrong to send them back because of the way they came. But what I'm saying, the people that are working, they work so hard when you see them. Our people here don't work hard. You go to the groceries, you go to places where you see these people work. They work hard. They're always on their foot. So if somebody else coming to do better than you, and you're not treating them nice, I don't think there's any problem. For me, I know this is our country and we are not, how you call it, a refugee. But I think a lot of us privately could help, because the last time some friends of mine tried to send boxes of food and so on, and when the boxes reached, they were empty. See? And besides that, we have to pray for them, because we don't know if we are going to get like this. When you look at the people in the Middle East, they were not like that. They are refugees now. They had everything. You're watching the little babies wash ashore because they get in a boat to flee from their country. And these young children on the beach, dead because they wash ashore. I think what happened is we are losing the sense of kindness to people. I don't know. My heart just hurts me so much when I see these things. A lot of things. I sometimes there's things on the TV that I don't like to watch, especially when they're talking about the refugees and the war that is going on in the Middle East. All I can do is pray and try to ask people to pray. Because if we don't pray for the people in the world, we are going to be lost. You know, and I think Catholic people are supposed to show an example, and they should be praying a lot more, asking God to have mercy.
And that's the word. That's the word, is mercy.
Mercy, and asking God for forgiveness, like the guy say on the Muslim program. You could ask God for forgiveness 70 times for the day, but you know, because of every time you think, I praying and Satan is coming to interfere with my thoughts.
That happens to a lot of people.
Phone.
So that is the power of prayer, and we have to really ask the Lord to show us, even give us the words with which to pray. So thank you, sister, very much for sharing your thoughts. We appreciate that very much. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Well, we were talking about the AC, and I was going to tell you a little thing about the biblical animation, where we started a little group where we started to read the Bible. So we do meditation, and we share on the gospel, and we do Lectio Divina. Beautiful. You know, and it started off for the first year, second year we were doing it, and it's amazing how over the years, so we've been in existence now 3 going on 4 years, and it's amazing now how the group itself has grown and matured. But not only that, how they've now started to look outward and started, as a group, we've just realized that, you know, we have to do an outreach outside, and how they've started doing things for the society around, and so, and it's through the readings and it's through the realizations from that that we've come to the place where, you know, we really need to start an outreach. You know, we can't continue to just.
And it shows you that what you were doing it well and right, because that's the movement that should happen.
Yes, and the movement, and it's amazing how the movement really took place. And you know, you never start off thinking that. And we said, well, you know, let's just do Lectio. And so, and the movement of the group now, that there's so much outreach happening, and they're so excited. And it's not only we're doing the outreach, but you can see that people understand the spirituality of it now that it's happening, that they understand that it's for a deeper cause. It's for, you know, a larger cause, that we do what we do. And I look at some of the members, and they would just be sweating out there doing things all over, you know. And on a Monday night when we meet, it's become so beautiful. And I was reading this, and I said, you know, it's amazing how, you know, we just sometimes you read it and say, well, yeah, we read the Bible, but really how reading the Word of God actually takes you and moves you to another place, where as a group, you know, we've seen.
That's a great testimony and witness. And that's what's supposed to happen. We shouldn't just be, you know, going to church, kneeling, praying, and then go back to live in our little cells. The very prayer and celebration of the Eucharist is, as the end of the Eucharist, we're told by the priest, you know, go out and spread the good news, go out and, you know, feed the poor, whatever it is that God is calling you to. Well, there is, I'm not going to read it because it's kind of long, but I mean, you might be interested in reading it. It's all about, of course, this is the time for SCA again, and this is a very well written letter by Dr. Margaret Nakid Chatur, talking about the countdown to the SCA exam, which is a secondary entrance assessment exam. And, you know, every year after the exam, without fail, there are reports of children who experience extreme distress during the exam, anxiety and panic attacks, cold sweating, trembling, crying, tense muscles, cognitive confusion, and mental shutdown. And, you know, she goes on to talk about that and then giving you some concrete ways of helping children at this time. As parents and teachers, the strategies that can be put in place, you know, reassuring the child that the most important thing is that he or she does their best. That's all you're asking of them. Creating reasonable balance between study and play. And, you know, on the day of the exam or before, one of the things she suggested is don't have every family member calling to say, I hope you do well tomorrow.
Yes,
because that in itself makes them feel, look, this is something so important that if I fail. So this is a very good letter to the editor that I think should be read, especially if you're a parent or a grandparent of one of the children doing SCA this year.
And I think important, let them sleep. At that age, they need their physical development at that stage as well. You know, at that age, that tween age, their body itself, it needs a lot of sleep. So allow them the time to sleep and rest when they sleep.
Now, I think, do we have time? Oh gosh, yes, we have to get this clip in for sure. This is the mega raffle, which we thank everybody for your support of our Living Water Community mega raffle. And we just have a few scenes of the actual prize giving that I know that you would like to see. Sorry if you didn't win a prize, but thank you for the support anyway. So we'll go to a break now. Okay, so those are the winners of the mega raffle.
So many faces that I recognize.
Yes, wonderful, wonderful prizes. And once again, we thank you for all your support. All right, so I'm looking at the time there, Sandy, 6 minutes, so we have to decide what. Well, let's,
we have to do the Archbishop's official.
Let's go to that.
So
You're going to read that?
And again, it's by Father Martin Sergio, the Vicar General, because our Archbishop was out of the country. Dear sisters and brothers, today the Dominican sisters celebrate 150th anniversary of their mission in Trinidad. On behalf of the Church in Trinidad and Tobago, I congratulate members of this order and thank them for their service to the local church. I also congratulate those who will be celebrating their jubilees, Sister Monique Moniquette, Catherine Bernard Thomas, and Letitia Dukey. On Thursday, Standard 5 primary school students will write the SEA examination. To you, dear SEA students, remain calm, say your prayers, ask God for guidance as you enter the examination room, and simply do your best. Parents, give them all your love and encouragement. Father Martin Sergio, Vicar General.
All right, so let's see what else we have here. Well, again, the Caribbean Church, of course, is highlighting the bishops of the Antilles Episcopal Conference and their visit, so looking at another aspect of it. So we've talked about that, so we will leave you to read about it when you get your
when
copy.
You look at the church in the world as well, the little Sudan boy, a 2-year-old boy displaced by armed conflict, carries mangoes near Our Lady of Assumption RC Church. And the boy's father, who worked on a church-run farm, was detained, beaten, and burned to death by soldiers in late 2016.
Oh,
again, refugees, people, asylum seekers. So, as you rightly said, it's a worldwide phenomenon that's happening right now, and we need to start.
We're certainly praying about it and asking. Well, we have been praying about it all the time, but maybe we need to up those prayers. Yes.
Praying more fervently about it as we go on.
On page 11, Vincent Lynch concludes his commentary on our Constitution, for those of you who have been following that. There's a Grand Marian pilgrimage, that's on page 10, to 5 Marian churches to honor Mary, Mother of the Church. That's Sunday, May the 20th. That's right here in Trinidad. And the churches are going to be the RC Cathedral, Our Lady of Perpetual Help in El Socorro, Our Lady of Queen of the Universe in Boug Monatres, Our Lady of Fatima Curep, and Mount St. Benedict, Vespers and Blessing by the Abbot. That's going to be beautiful. St. Vincent de Paul here, asking for donations, deed of covenants. And that's another wonderful institution that is in need of help.
Yes. And there are 2 excellent articles as well from Social Justice and Family Life on page 16 and 17 as well. The call to be holy and practicing mercy in our turbulent times. And I think the word that we need to go away with after today's program now is mercy.
It seems to be coming in every
and understanding what it means for us as Catholics, as Christians, to really understand what it is to be mercy, and not just to sing God of mercy and compassion in our most pious posturing, but actually to get out there and to get into the messiness of what's happening in the world outside and practice.
This is a good opportunity for us to really look inside ourselves and see, what does it really mean for me to be Catholic, to be Christian? And, what does it mean?
And what is the world calling us to right now? Where we stand right now, today in the universe.
That's right.
What is the call for us as humans? And what does it mean to be human today in this world? Sometimes
real cause for reflection, because it's very easy for us to just kind of go through life and not really get into the meatiness of it,
and not get involved in what is happening in your world today. In your world today,
let somebody else handle that. I don't have to get involved. But this is a call for all of us, I think. And as you say, the word is mercy. It's the ultimate Mother's Day concert, the music of ABBA at Napa. And that's on Saturday, the 12th of May. And
but there's something I hope my children see.
You want them to take you to that, or what?
Absolutely.
All right, so this is a hint for them to take you to that concert. And what does ABP stand for?
Well, that's exactly what we were talking about. The Evangelization Commission. So there's an excellent article, and I really, really wanted to encourage prayer groups and even 2 or 3 people getting together to start reading the Bible, doing the Lectio Divina, and so because it really, I have
make
seen
the Word of God central to everything that we do.
I have seen it come alive and really make it
so you can witness to that.
To what is happening. So I think
our
countdown
countdown is on, so we're going to have to say goodbye to you. Thank you for joining us. We know that there are many of you out there who didn't pick up the phone and call, but that's all right. We're glad to know you're there. God bless you. Have a great weekend. Come to our family fair on Sunday. Don't forget.